When I went to prison, my relationship with the God of my understanding improved. When I went to prison, I found out that you can go without a woman. Not saying that go without a woman for a long time. I don't promote that because God did not intend us to be alone. And he who findeth a wife findeth a good thing.
Amen.
Right?
He does.
Right? But when I was in prison, I found out that didn't run me. It didn't control me. Because I didn't have access to one. Right? Well, while I was in there, I started back going to these meetings. I had friends that while I was in prison. But I started going back to these meetings, and shout out to those people who participate in H&I hospitals and institutions within the 12-step fellowships, where they bring a meeting inside to folks who can't get out. Shout out to them, because I can remember them humanizing me. They humanized me. I was no longer 0765193. I was, hey, Philip C., how was your week today? Happy Wednesday, how was your week today, right? So then there started to be a little bit more hope, and it takes people who are courageous, people who are bold enough, people who actually give a damn to pour into these people and instill hope into these people. I had to have that done to me. Because there was times when I was in prison and I didn't know if I was going to be able to get out and get right. Because during my 3.5 stint, there were some people that came, left, and guess what? Came again. And they would come in and talk about how nobody's giving chances out there. It's so rough out there. And we'll see, you're doing good now. Hopefully you keep that jailhouse religion when you get out of here, boy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that jailhouse religion's still working. January 16th, 2009. That's my clean date. I have made a choice on a daily basis not to use drugs one day at a time because people instilled hope in me. People taught me how to live my life without using drugs. So when I got out of prison, right? So first, I was in prison. I was working for the New Direction program. I was a treatment assistant. I had a pretty bomb job to be in prison. So I had one of them $1 a day jobs, baby. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I got a promotion from my 70 cent a day to my $1 a day, right? And I get paid 7 days a week because it's $1 a day. I'm getting $7 a week. You feel me? Yeah. So I got that promotion to that job, and I'm working for a New Direction. And I was a treatment assistant, and who was the guy who was my certified clinical supervisor now, his name is Henry Parks. He was running the program up there in Goldsboro. And so, he was telling me, like, Coop, man, when you get out of here, you need to go into counseling. You do real good, because I was working with them little young boys from Polk Correctional Center. Anybody ever heard of Polk Correctional Center? Polk Youth Center? That's Gladiator School. So I was working with those guys that would come, and they would come to our 90-day treatment program that's inside the prison. I was in prison as a treatment assistant. Yes, those exist. And so those guys would come out, and my ability, the way that God wired me to connect with people, I was working with these guys coming from Polk, and I can remember the staff still to this day will write letters of recommendation for me. Still to this day, right? And so when I got out, I said, I want to be a counselor. So when I get out of prison, I'm on fire, I'm in recovery. You know what I'm saying? I done got swole. I had dreads then, y'all. I ain't had no stomach either, but I was swole with them dreads. I used to throw them things back sometimes. If I had them dreads, I would have threw them back at least twice by now. But I get out of prison, and I'm on fire. I go to AV Tech, and I get in the Human Services Technology program, because, with one of those blemished backgrounds like mine, you can still get a job in this field because it requires a person who is ready and who is not afraid to engage these people to do well in this field. Not saying you have to have lived experience with substance use to be effective as a counselor, but just saying you will go over and beyond sometimes when you remember the pain. Right? I did a post on Facebook yesterday. It was a picture of my daughter I had hanging up in my locker. And I posted about, some of us, we watched our kids grow up on pictures. So when I got out, I go to AV Tech. And at this point in time, the recovery atmosphere had shifted a little bit. So the opioids hadn't hit us that hard in 2011 when I got out. It hadn't. I got out. It was still hard to get a job. I was working at YWCA with kids. Believe it or not, a lady from my church hooked me up with the job. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And so I'm working at the YWCA, and I'm trying my best to get a job at Neil Dobbin Center. I wanted to work there so bad. I was so excited. I called once a week. I know I got on that lady's nerves. Pam Coppage is her name. Shout out to Pam Coppage, the director of Kylie Lynn Burrow Child Crisis Center for Adolescents. If you don't know about that resource, if you got some kids that's getting off the chain, say off the chain. Consider the Cayenne Borough Child Crisis Center for Adolescents. But I can remember getting that job at Neil Dobbins, and I'm in the Human Services Technologies program, and I seen a shift while I was working at Neil Dobbins Center in substance use. I seen a shift. So at that point in time, it was K2 and bath salts. Y'all remember? Remember when them K2 and bath salts hit? So I went from being like this substance abuse motivator guy in recovery, woo recovery, I can get you in this halfway house because I got connections, to working with people that was on the K2 and bath salts. So I had to get familiar with mental health treatment. It went from substance use detox to co-occurring disorders. And it started to shift. I can remember when the opioids started to hit a little bit harder. And then they tried to put a clamp on it, right? And then that old dog food came to Asheville. And so at that point in time, the heroin is dog food.
Yeah.
At that point in time, I seen it happening to people who were doing pills. Because I was in the field now, and I'm a person in recovery, and I live in Asheville. Y'all know we got tons of recovery meetings, right? We got it going on.
Yeah.
Like just being real, you know. So at that point in time, I'm seeing people die. Like friends of mine are dying. So that stuff got here, and it changed. A lot of things started to change. So in the community college, I found out about Collegiate recovery. And so Heather Pack, I believe, is a person that connected me with the Buncombe County Partnership of Substance-Free Youth, and it was a lot of connectivity that was going on. And when I found out about Collegiate recovery, I started getting engaged in Asheville because, you know, when a student goes back to school and they're in recovery, they have to be careful and they have to have a certain amount of resources. Because see, for many of us who have substance use disorder, we use because we can't handle those uncomfortable feelings. Right? Yeah. Feelings. And feelings are not facts. Feelings are temporary, just like the drugs. But we don't always know that. And when we're in college, those feelings are coming. Hello, I worked 8 hours, 10 hours, and I got a test in microeconomics tomorrow. I didn't get to study. All of a sudden, I feel that same anxiety. I feel that same worry, that same, oh my gosh, I'm not going to make it, that I felt when I couldn't get a fix.
Yeah.
And if we're not careful and make sure that these students have the resources that they need, school can be the reason that they die.
Yeah.
We had one die at AB Tech. Oh yeah. Y'all heard about it. So programs like Collegiate Recovery, I salute you for having an event like this to where you welcome stakeholders to the table. You know, I do a lot of work with ARC, and they have the recovery ecosystem. And they're talking about this recovery ecosystem, and it's very important because dealing with this substance use crisis that we have in our country, it's not just limited to a healthcare solution. It's a healthcare solution. It's a workforce development solution. It's a education solution. It's a law enforcement solution. We all must come to the table to have an impact on this thing because it's huge. And so having an event like this, having different people from different sectors just here and just willing to speak out, willing to say, hey, I want to understand you. You know, I don't want to judge you. I want to understand you. That's empowering enough in itself. Because for that one person that's just coming into recovery, they're probably coming in with that monkey on their back and that old devil in their head saying, you ain't going to get it. And the more people we have who believe in us, the more we believe in ourselves. Yeah. Man, I started working at AB Tech in 2014. And I was mentoring a guy. His name was Johan Johnson. He was a good friend of mine. We went to AC Reynolds High School together. And he had left the streets. And he said, you know, bro, I'm going to get it right. And at this point in time, the accounting program at AB Tech, and probably here too, you know, almost everything going online now, agree or disagree. Like even if it's not fully online, you have enough of an online component to where you must be able to survive online. Yes. So our accounting classes were all incorporated, had the online component incorporated into it. And he would always come by my desk and he'd be like, hey bro, you know, just talking about his day. Because like I say, the collegiate recovery movement is very important because we need our individuals who identify as persons in recovery to be able to have a safe zone. They need to have a safe zone the same way they have a safe zone for the LGBT, whatever the rest of the letters is. You know what I'm saying? But we need to have a safe zone the same way. We got one at AB Tech. What we call it? Reset.
Yes.
But Yuhan would come to me because I was a safe space. He would talk about his life and things like that. You know, I remember him coming to my house to use the Wi-Fi, right? To use the Wi-Fi. Bro, can I come over there and use the Wi-Fi? But it was really just peer support. And that's why I'm so heavy about the peer support movement in this time. We see a shift even with the utilization of peer supports in a lot of arenas because they're starting to see the value of the therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel. So I can remember getting a phone call one day saying that Yuhan had been shot in the head. Oh my God. He was living in the hood He was trying to do right, but he was still very close to the people.
Mm-hmm.
Stories like that is why I go so hard for movements like this. Movements, the Second Chance Initiative. Movements like the Peer Justice Initiative. Movements like the Collegiate Recovery Movement. It's important that these people have identified resources that they can go to during their experience, whether it's workforce development or whether it's curriculum education. You know, I've seen individuals in recovery go through nursing school. Is nursing school rough or what?
Yes.
Like nursing school be having them looking like they ready to go shell. Matter of fact, nursing school be having them looking like they shell.
Yeah.
But one of the students that I love to tell her story of, she actually was able to get her RN after her felony. Yeah. She got her RN after her felony. And I can remember her coming up to my desk because I tell you this collegiate recovery movement is important because these people need to have this safe spot to come to and check in before the test and come back and celebrate after the test. Mm-hmm. The nursing school goes off a 7-point scale. She came and said, I got a 76.7. I passed. And I said, yeah. And the counseling department was like, keep it down out there.
Yeah.
But that's what it's about with me. My whole microphone came off. See how excited I got about her passing that test? But that's what it is, man. Moving forward, my challenge to you is, if you're an individual in recovery, you got to keep it on the low, that's fine, but make sure it ain't kept on the low in the recovery community. Mm-hmm. If you're an individual who is a recovery ally, make sure the whole world knows it.
Yeah.
Make sure the whole world knows that you're a recovery ally, because people are dying.
Yes.
And they need to know where the safe spots are at, outside of recovery as well as inside of the recovery community. And there are some people that's doing some amazing work here. Shout out to Lori Clancy for inviting me here to speak. I believe I was referred to her by a guy named Steven who had this Recovery Always radio station that was going, a podcast, you know, and I'm grateful that she included me to be a part of this, you know, to share my experience, strength, and hope. If it's anything that I can tell you moving forward, you know, it would be the reason why I say perseverance versus everything, because many a times for people that are in recovery, it's perseverance versus our feelings. And for the most part here in college, the biggest allies is going to be people that are helping those individuals in recovery that is in college survive their feelings, right? So remind them that it's perseverance versus your feelings. Study when you need to. Get a double shot espresso, pumpkin spice latte with an extra shot, non-fat milk. My name is Philip. I'm an addict. I'm grateful to be here. When I say Appalachia, y'all say strong. Appalachia. Strong. Appalachia. Strong. Thank you.